Mantrista, which means I use mantras, which are devices that liberate the mind and the stuff that they hold on to and where they create patterns. I'm a remote viewer, trained government remote viewer. I was trained in interspecies communication by a tribe in the northern part of India. I remember very little about that, other than that when I got there, all I did was cry. I was about 10. And they took mud and they put it all over my face and my hair and everything so that I would look like them, because they were very indigenous, very earth. And yet they said that they were from the stars, that they were ETs. And they trained me in interspecies communication, which I was already doing since I was 5 with scientists with dolphins. So anyway, so what's it got to do with what we're doing today, which is a chat podcast, little get together having to do with multidimensional factors in business and actually training. I haven't gotten to the training part because we do not yet have enough people that are English speakers and only English speakers onto these particular chats. We will have them eventually when the political horizon is not quite so dangerous. It is dangerous right now. When the things that are happening politically are happening, people like me are compensated. We don't know what's going to happen. And what's going to happen has a lot to do with what happens to us. So better to keep a little bit quiet and practice up in terms of how I deliver this information in English. But I still have to give you testimonials and stories having to do with what happens with my Spanish followers, Mantristas. So today I got 2 testimonials that were wonderful. In one of them, it was a woman from Argentina, and she listened to my chat, Ask Francis About Your Business, which I have done, I believe, 3 times in Spanish, and I need to start next week in English. If we can get enough people, because I need questions. And she had asked about her business. She had a store. And when I looked, I saw that it felt really old and dingy. I wasn't looking at it visually. I was looking at it with a combination of all my skills. And I said, it feels like death in there. And it feels old and dingy. So you need to kind of move stuff and open the windows, and you need to move stuff around. It would have been, it couldn't have been more than 3 weeks ago, because that's when I started doing the Ask Francis About Business. And she emailed today and said that she did what I said. But because they don't have any money, because they're in Argentina, and nobody has any money in Argentina. How interesting. They are right next to the South Pole, and there are huge bases, ET bases, down there. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that in a business chat? Why not? All this ET stuff is really going to affect you, your business. So you have to be positioned. You have to know. Anyway, so she painted and moved everything and reorganized. She says that the place looks lighter, feels lighter, that actually it feels warmer, so that they don't have to put on the heater as much. They don't feel as cold. Cold, when you feel real cold, it's an indicator that there's spirits. Okay? She didn't say that. Maybe she doesn't know that. She just says that it feels warmer. They don't have to put on the heat. And that she was very grateful, because now they have more customers and they're making more sales. And she has no reason to say that. And we got another testimonial this morning, and it was somebody asking about her business. It's up on Facebook. Both of them are up on Facebook for public viewing. And that she had asked about her business. She sells Mexican clothing. And I looked and I said, God, this is like you're doing business like inside a closet in a really small room. And your problem is yuck energy. But I do see that if you can take care of that, and maybe you make some dresses that are spaghetti strap. Here I go into my background in fashion. I don't know why I said that, but that's what I got. And that's what I do. I say what I get, regardless of my judgment about it. I said, but if you can clean up your thing, your space where you do business, and I think if you make like spaghetti strap Mexican dresses, I think you're going to sell a ton of them. We got a testimonial this morning. I didn't remember her because I answer, I don't know, dozens of questions each session, each chat. And she said, listen, Frances didn't know that I do business out of my car. I have like this minivan and I do business out of there. And Frances did not know that. And I said to her, it's like in a closet. So why am I saying this? To pat myself on the shoulder? No, because I've had enough testimonials already for you to see that perhaps when I say something weird that you think can't possibly apply to you, that maybe you'll remember that these people, when they ask me what's going on with my business, that it's not taking off, they didn't expect the kind of answer I gave them. And yet, it made sense. So what are we doing here today? Not really sure, because what I really want to do with you is training. And I'm not able to get the training taken care of because I don't have enough of a follower. Today, I lost another 2 people on Twitter. I'm putting up these fantastic posts, and I lost 2 people on Twitter. I now have 2 people less than I had yesterday. Patience, Francis. Patience. So let's go ahead and do a mantra. Being it that it appears that my readings are correct, and that should mean that what I'm suggesting should be correct, unless my judgment gets in the way, and it doesn't, because I've spent 20 years doing this and paying close attention to see how accurate I am. It doesn't really matter how accurate the military says I am. They think I'm very accurate. What about the regular life, regular people? And I seem to be very accurate. So why don't we go ahead and start doing a mantra on, even though I'm afraid to run out of money, or even though I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money, you need to decide which of the 2 mantras you want to do. But while you are doing the mantra, you are going to say it silently in your head, and you're going to direct it to your root chakra, towards your root chakra, which is in between your legs. It's a darn hiccups, sorry. It's in between your legs. Root chakra has to do with security, money, the police not showing up, all the basic survival stuff that you need to be kind of okay on the physical level. A roof over your head, food, the police aren't going to show up, nobody's going to beat you up, blah, 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 you're not going to get raped, blah, 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 all of that. You take your breath down there, and you, like a vacuum cleaner, use the purification mantra. Even though I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money, or even though I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money, or even though I don't have enough money, I love and accept myself. So it's what you're afraid of, and then I love and accept myself. In silence, directed with your breath and your consciousness all the way down in between your legs. But I am going to go down there also, and I'm going to give you all a healing. How can somebody give everybody a healing? That doesn't make any sense. So I have to say the story that a lot of you may already know. If you follow me in Spanish, I went to a conference in northern Brazil. It was transpersonal psychology. Basically, the conference was organized to be able to do what people consider are drugs, like ayahuasca, outside of the country, outside of the United States. And you can do whatever you want in Brazil and in other countries. So I was there. And on the Saturday night, which is when the important speaker speaks to all of us, when we were 500 people, he said at the end of his speech, now I'm going to give every single one of you a healing. And I was like, yeah, sure. This was 30 years ago with Stan Groff. Okay. So we all close our eyes. I close my eyes. Of course, I'm not too obedient. So within a couple minutes, my eyes were open. I didn't believe him anyway. But when I opened my eyes, there was one of him next to every single person in the room. And there should have been like 500 of us. And I went, whoa, I want to do that. And I do that. And I'm going to do it right now with you. Okay? So 2 feet on the floor, Apana Mudra, 2 center fingers touching the thumb. Put the outside of your hands on top of your thighs, the top part of your legs. Breathe, and you will notice that I will speak slower and I will be more feminine. because I will be more balanced. Okay? So now go ahead and start. Even though I'm afraid to run out of money, even though I'm afraid I don't have enough money, I love and accept myself. One of the two. Don't do both of them. Keep breathing. I'm not putting on the music because I cannot seem to speak while the music is on. And then if there's something really exciting to tell you, I can't tell you. I don't know how to handle this platform or any platform. But you know what? We're getting along. We're getting out there. So I'm not going to complain. I need to manage the psychic highways, not technology. I need to hire somebody for the technology. Go ahead and start. Even though I'm afraid I'll run out of money, or I'm afraid because I don't have money, or I'm afraid I can't pay my bills, you decide what mantra. And the end of it is, I love and accept myself. I'm going down to the root chakra. A bit of a chaos there, yet the center of the root chakra is Nile green, which is the color of the heart chakra. It's also the color of healing. So keep breathing, keep doing the mantra, keep sending it down there. And keep breathing, I'm going to be doing a healing on you there. But I'm going to explain to you what I do, because in order for people to kind of evolve, they need to know what's going on. They don't need a religious leader or political leader to say, I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry your pretty little head about that. No. I want you to have all the information, and then I want you to turn around and teach other people. Okay, so when I go to your root chakra, there's an awful lot going on, but there is metallic ties. So I'm going to go in with my scissors that cuts metal cables. This is in the other dimensions, and this is how healings are done, through visualization and through intention. So I'm down there and I'm cutting metallic cords that are tying up your root chakra and creating an awful lot of confusion. Plus I see an implant there. This implant makes me want to cry. Why? Because the implant is like a little virus that was put in the root chakra of all humans last Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm generally pretty accurate when I say stuff like that, even though I don't know that it makes any difference. That virus is a virus of thoughts of a paranoia and resentment of people that have money and that are okay when you are not okay, or you think you're not okay, or they're so much better than you are in terms of their bank account or what they get compensated for. So keep breathing, and I'm going to try to remove this from all of you. Even though I'm afraid because I don't have money, I love and accept myself. Or even though I'm afraid I'll run out of money, I love and accept myself. Estelle, if you could send that to me, I'd appreciate it. I'll make it a little post. I want to look and see what this implant looks like. Because you see that if you follow me enough, because I have a magical power, which the government declared, I have the power of induction. When you're in my presence, even if it's on the internet, I am lifting up your aura in terms of psychic abilities to see, to feel, to hear. So I explain what I'm seeing so that one day when you run into it, you'll go, oh my God, this is what Frances saw. Continuing. Continue with your mantra, which loosens things up there and makes it easier for me to do my job, a job I assign myself. What does it look like? It's actually a congestion, like a round, not perfectly round, it moves. It's got a skin over it, like a membrane. Mm. 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 Well, actually, I can't tell you any more about what I see because I honestly want to continue to be able to communicate with you. And maybe my wisdom is saying that you don't need to know more. And I'm not going to say, don't worry your pretty little head about it. I'm just going to say, at this point, you don't need to know anymore from me. So, but I'm going to take care of it. Okay? I'm going to put up the mantra on screen. And I'm going to continue. It's like a hard-boiled egg with a hard, so it has to crack, which is what I'm doing now. I'm cracking it. And then it's this thing. And what is it that will dissipate that? Not fire. Yes, water, which is emotions. So I have a hose in my hand, other dimensional, and I'm hosing down this egg that I cracked, took off the shell. I'm left with this thing that still has kind of like a membrane, or it doesn't have a membrane, it doesn't really matter. And I've got a hose with warm water, and it's breaking apart and dissipating. So what I see is, for me, and in telling you that, you might be able to identify with it, that I have in particular one person around me that is very jealous, having to do with money. Good person, good person. No, it's not the issue. And it has been worrisome for me because there's a big gap between us. And what I see is that this that I just did is going to release either that in me, at which time it won't get stimulated in this person, or in this person who's not part of the chat. So it will make a difference having to do with from here forward, in that if you end up making a ton of money, people are not going to resent you. Now, this is really important. One of the things I've been concerned about, I adore Elon Musk. I don't know. I adore him. I'd love to know him, but I don't know him. I don't make any money off of him. It's obviously not taking care of my place in Twitter. But one of the things that has concerned me is that with the amount of money that he has, because those negative spirits are so savvy, I worry that they will figure out a way, a weakness, a portal, a doorway, a hole to where they can get certain people to turn against him because he is so rich. Now, we are grateful he's so rich because then he has power today and he chooses to do stuff that's good for us. But that gap between him and everybody else is where the spirits play here. And I think that within several weeks, it would have kicked in, maybe will still kick in, a reaction where the fuel for the reaction against him has to do with resentment of him having so much. Now, you know what? I just realized it has to do with what's going to come next economically. Everybody is suggesting that we may have something huge happening that's not quite positive. And I'm trying to talk the way professionals talk. I would say it totally differently. Like, you know what? We're going into hard times, but you know what? That's not so elegant and professional. So I would say that this kind of makes sense. It's a worry that I've had, but then when I think and I connect the dots, I go, so people are going to go down because of planetary economic issues, it would appear, and he's going to stay where he's at or up or maybe a little bit down. And then we're going to have people turning. But it has to, a lot of it would have had to do with, or has to do with, this particular implant black magic that's done on humanity, because this was done to everybody, including him. So he would resent people with money because of this implant. They have learned how to sway us emotionally, and we have not known that. So how could we defend ourselves? Besides which, we were never told what emotions are. Emotions, by definition, in the dictionary, the definition of emotions, I did not say this, the definition is to move out emotion, to move out. So what does society teach us? You don't move out emotions. You draw them back in, because then people, they're not going to like your emotional reaction. They're not going to like when you get appropriately angry or appropriately sad. You say, oh, don't do that. Just, it's okay. No, it's not okay. So we have a big weakness, but other people know that. And they're able to work with that and to use it against us. So keep doing your mantra, even though I'm afraid about my money, or I won't have any money, or I'll run out of money. I love and accept myself, whichever is appropriate. And let me finish taking this off. Okay. I hate it when I can't speak. Reminds me of my entire life. Like when people, why are you doing something? That's pretty dumb, Francis, what you're doing. And I can't go, because I can't tell them why I'm doing it. In retrospect, it may make sense, but in the moment it does, but I can't explain. This is an implant. This is black magic to turn humans against each other. And there will be many, many more of these implants, which are literally black magic, to turn human beings against each other. So the whole apocalyptic vision of planet Earth at this time, in terms of what people saw in the past, which is what's happening, this is going to be part of it. The fact that we were never taught the definition of emotion, which basically is telling us what we have to do with emotions, which is to move them out. That does not mean screaming at people. And it does not mean becoming so verbal with your emotions that you end up losing your social position. What it means is you need to process your emotions without creating havoc in your social life. And you can do that with the mantra. Even though I hate, I love and accept myself. So why don't we switch, and then we'll end, to the vacuum cleaner purification mantra of, even though I hate having to worry about money, I love and accept myself. So go ahead and change over to that. And if somebody in the chat would be kind enough to write it up, that would be good. You guys are releasing a lot of red, and I think this is something that is a very common expressed and not felt emotion of hating to having to live the way we live today, which is worried about money. The images that I'm getting are, there's a group of people here, and then there's a corridor, like a channel. And then a lot of people are going from this group of people that are in a small enclosure through the corridor, and they're going into the light. And the mantra we're doing has to do with accepting the fact that we can hate. And moving it out. Because once you move that out, then who you really are comes through. And this filter, which is a red haze of astral particles of fire, that gets cleared off, like your windshield gets cleared off, and you can see clearly when people do something that's hateful. You can kind of see why it is that they're doing it, or you can accept that that's the way they're feeling right now. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and end now. Okay. And if you think this kind of information is important, then why don't you go ahead and visualize a gazillion people signing up for our platform here on Twitter. I know that in our Facebook, we put out a post and we got over 700,000 people. And last month we had 10,000 people sign up for Facebook. We had 45,000, and then in 1 month we went an additional 10,000. And I wonder how much of that had to do with our presence in English and Spanish on Twitter, but it's not registering Twitter. Because there's so much manipulation, we will probably never know. But we are staying here, even if this sinking ship having to do with numbers keeps sinking, it's okay, we'll be here. Because when I get up in the morning to see what my numbers are in terms of followers, most of the time I have less people. Lots of games being played at this point to try to make people appear less powerful than what they are. The information we're sharing is very powerful. If not, I would have been allowed to share it before. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm FRANCESFOX. Bye.